Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the study of Esther. Glad you're with us today, and hope you'll enjoy learning a little bit more about Esther today. We started yesterday talking about how King Xerxes got a big festival and got kind of drank too much and made an edict that his queen was gone because she wouldn't come and parade herself in front of all the guys. So he threw her out, and he made a rule that all women had to obey their husbands. And then after that, after a while, when that all wore off, when his anger subsided and probably he stopped drinking, he kind of missed her. You know, he wished he had a beautiful queen again. And so his servants said, let's have a contest kind of, and let's figure out another queen for you. So we're in chapter 2 of Esther, and we're in verse 3. Let the king appoint commissioners in every province of his realm to bring all these beautiful young women to the harem at the citadel in Susa. Let them be placed under the care of Haggai, the king's eunuch, who is in charge of the women, and let beauty treatments be given to them. Then let the young woman who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti. This advice appealed to the king, and he followed it. So they're going to have a search for beautiful women. Now we finally meet Esther. Verse 5. Now there was in the citadel of Susa a Jew of the tribe of Benjamin named Mordecai, son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, who had been carried into exile from Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, among those taken captive with Jehoiakim, king of Judah. Mordecai had a cousin named Hadassah, whom he brought up because she had neither father nor mother. This young woman, who was also known as Esther, had a lovely figure and was beautiful. Mordecai had taken her as his own daughter when her father and mother died. So here we find out the word Hadassah is the name of Esther in the Jewish language, and that name, I looked it up in the dictionary, means joy. It can also mean myrtle. Some people think it means compassion. Notice that the Jewish Women's Organization is named after Esther because they're Hadassah, and that's the Jewish Women's Organization is named with that name. So this is her Jewish name. She also has a secular name, Esther, by which she's known. And if people call her Esther, of course they wouldn't know she was Jewish. Okay, if they don't know her name is Hadassah and they've always known her as Esther, she's just a beautiful woman. So here we have Mordecai, who's kind of a cousin or uncle, but he basically adopts Esther because her mother and father have died. So he is an advisor to her because he's always fathered her. He's been the closest thing to family that she has. So she is very, very beautiful. And so let's go to verse 8. When the king's order and edict had been proclaimed, many young women were brought to the citadel of Susa and put under the care of Haggai. Now, Haggai is a eunuch, so that's why the king trusts him to be taking care of the women. So he's in charge of the harem. And obviously, Esther has been taken into the king's palace. It doesn't seem like she volunteered. We use the word taken. So we're thinking, as these guards went around, they said, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. Come on, you're going to the palace. So it doesn't seem like she volunteered for this thing. But she is now under the care of Haggai, the eunuch. She pleased him and won his favor. Immediately he provided her with beauty treatments and special food. He assigned to her 7 female attendants selected from the king's palace and moved her and her attendants into the best place in the harem. Okay, so not only is she beautiful, she's beautiful inside, which is more important to God than to be beautiful outside. I mean, beauty is one thing, but real beauty comes from inside. And that's what God cares about, our heart. So she is a beautiful person inside. Otherwise, I don't think she would have found Haggai's favor. And again, now God is working behind the scenes. We don't hear his name, but we know that Esther and Haggai have met each other, and Haggai, who has quite a bit of control at this time because he's in charge of the whole harem and all these beautiful women. And he makes sure she gets special treatment, special food, and he moves her and he gives her attendants, and he moves all of them into kind of a special place of priority in the harem. What I think is great about that is that I don't think it was her beauty that did that, because all of the women in the harem would have been beautiful. They were selected for that very reason, that they were all beautiful. But listen to Proverbs 31, verse 30, when it describes people. It says, "Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised." This just shows us again that, God gives us charm and beauty because that's part of his world. God loves beauty. But really what's on the inside is what we care about. And if we take a lot of time worried about the outside of us and we don't take a lot of time for the inside of us, we're missing the beauty that God really wants to see and really wants to foster. And apparently she had more than just beauty, because he was taken with her. He said, she's a really nice person. I think that was God using Esther, moving her into position to be in the right place at the right time. Because God really cares about what's inside. One of the ways we see this is in 1 Samuel, which I think is very interesting, because in 1 Samuel, I'm trying to get it to come up here. Here we go. In 1 Samuel, the book of 1 Samuel, this is at the end of the time of Judges, and then King Herod became king, okay? And then after a while, King Herod was evil, and God said to Samuel, the prophet, "I want you to go over to where Jesse lives, and he's got a bunch of sons, and one of them is going to be the next king, and I want you to anoint that king." So Samuel went to Jesse and said, "Show me your sons, one of them's going to be king." And one by one, all these handsome, virile men came in front of Samuel. And Samuel said, "Surely the Lord's anointed stands here before the Lord." Okay, so as in Samuel's eyes, he's looking at these big, wonderful, handsome men, and he's thinking, this guy, oh, he's the one that's going to be king. Oh, this guy, no, okay, not your first son, your second son then. What about him? He's a great guy. But this is 1 Samuel 2, verse 7. No, 1 Samuel 16, verse 7, I'm sorry. The Lord said to Samuel, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." So he is telling Samuel, all this stuff you see with your eyes, this beauty, this handsome appearance, that means nothing to me. What matters to me is in the heart. And God knows that of all of Jesse's sons, the one he wants is David, who is the youngest of them all, a puny little guy working out with the sheep in the field. Jesse didn't even call that son in. He figured, I got all these other handsome, powerful, mighty sons. You got to pick one of them. And when it came right down to it, Samuel said, "Don't you have any more sons?" And Jesse said, "Yeah, well, I got this, little youngest one out here working in the field." And as soon as Samuel saw him, God told him, "This is going to be my king." Because God cared about David's heart, not how he looked on the outside. So even though in the book of Esther, she's getting beauty treatments, and beauty is what gets her into the right place, God doesn't care about Esther's beauty as much as he cares about what's inside her heart. And this is why he's moving her into this place, and he's using her beauty to do it, which is great. In verse 10, we find out that nobody knows she's a Jew. So it says, Esther had not revealed her nationality and family background because Mordecai had forbidden her to do so. So Mordecai is giving her some advice here. He says, if you're going to be pulled into this harem because you're so beautiful, if I were you, I wouldn't tell anybody you're Jewish. Okay, so Mordecai is speaking to her like a father. He wants to protect her. And also, in verse 11, it says, every day he walked back and forth near the courtyard of the harem to find out how Esther was and what was happening to her. So he's worried about her. And the only thing he can do is kind of pace back and forth and find out, put his ear to the ground, listen, gossip, rumors, whatever, and kind of find out what's up with her. He figures maybe she'll be in the courtyard. Maybe he'll be able to talk to her, or maybe he'll hear rumors. So every day he walks back and forth near the courtyard just to find out how Esther is and what's happening to her. He doesn't just say, hey, nothing I can do for you, go. No, he's going to be there to be her mentor and her father, really. I mean, her earthly father, even though he's not her biological father, he's related to her, and he wants to take care of her. So we have God using Esther's beauty to put her in a position where eventually she's going to be in the right place at the right time. And remember, a lot of this takes place over a period of 10 years. So this is not a short-term story, as many of our lives are. When we look at our lives, we look back 10 years and we see how God has moved in our lives and what he's accomplished by putting certain pieces in place here, there, and everywhere. And it doesn't all happen at once. So Esther, whose real name was Hadassah, meaning joy, is going to bring joy to her people by being in the right place at the right time. So I hope you join us another day for another look at the book of Esther.